plain cotton t-shirt you're probably wearing took around 2,700 liters of water to make. That's roughly what one person drinks in 2.5 years. And in one part of the world, this crop didn't just use the water. It drank an entire sea. Let's unpack that figure because it sounds absurd until you break it down. For a single 250-gram cotton shirt, roughly 1,500 liters is irrigation water, pumped or diverted onto the field by people. About 800 liters is rainfall that fell on the crop anyway. And the remaining 400 or so is what researchers call gray water, the amount needed to dilute the fertilizer and chemical runoff back to safe levels. Add it up, and one ordinary shirt carries a water bill in the thousands of liters. Now multiply that by the billions of garments the world buys every year, and you start to see why cotton has the reputation it does. So why does this particular plant need so much? Partly it's simple biology. Cotton has a long growing season and keeps drinking right through it. But the bigger reason is geography. Cotton loves heat and hates humidity at harvest, so the best places to grow it are hot, sunny, and dry, exactly the places with the least natural rainfall. That means the crop is very often irrigated rather than rain-fed. And here's the crucial difference from wheat or rice. Nobody eats cotton. All that water goes into producing fiber, a material, not calories. When a dry country pours its scarce water into cotton, it is effectively exporting its water supply abroad, woven into cloth. Which brings us to the most extraordinary example in the history of agriculture. The Aral Sea, sitting between Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, was once the fourth largest lake on the entire planet. It was fed by two great rivers, the Amudarya and the Sirdarya, flowing down from the mountains. Starting in the 1960s, Soviet planners decided to turn the surrounding deserts into cotton country. They dug enormous canals and diverted those two rivers out across the sand to irrigate cotton on a colossal scale. The cotton grew, and the sea, cut off from the rivers that sustained it, began to die. What followed is one of the starkest environmental collapses ever recorded, and it happened slowly enough that people watched it unfold. Year after year, the shoreline crept backwards. The water that remained grew saltier and saltier until the fish that had supported a whole fishing industry simply could not survive. Ports that once launched trawlers found themselves stranded kilometers inland. Today, the Aral Sea has lost the overwhelming majority of its volume, and much of what was the fourth largest lake in the world is now a dry, salt-crusted plain that scientists have given its own name. The Aralkum Desert, a body of water that existed for thousands of years, was drained inside a single human lifetime to grow a fiber crop. And the damage did not stop when the water left. The exposed seabed was not clean sand. For decades, the fertilizer and pesticide runoff from all those cotton fields had washed downstream and settled into the lake bed. When the water retreated, that contaminated sediment was left lying on the surface, dry and loose. Now the wind picks it up. Enormous toxic dust storms sweep salt and agricultural chemicals across the region, coating farmland and settling in people's lungs. Local communities have reported elevated rates of respiratory illness and other health problems. Even the weather changed. Without the huge body of water to moderate it, summers became hotter and winters colder. Draining the sea did not simply remove a lake. It rewrote the climate and the health of the region around it. Water is only half of why cotton is sometimes called the world's dirtiest crop. The other half is chemistry. Cotton is a magnet for insect pests, above all the bollworm, and because it is usually grown as a vast monoculture in warm climates, those pests thrive. The result is that cotton has historically absorbed a strikingly disproportionate share of the world's insecticides. The most widely quoted figure is that cotton occupies only about 2.5% of the planet's farmland, while accounting for something like 16% of global insecticide use. Industry data puts the share lower, and the honest answer is that the exact number is genuinely disputed. But every source agrees on the direction. For the small amount of land it occupies, cotton soaks up far more insect-killing chemistry than its fair share. It would be unfair to leave it there, because parts of this story have genuinely got better. Insect-resistant cotton, engineered to produce its own protection against bollworm, sharply cut insecticide spraying across several major producing countries after it was introduced. Drip irrigation, which delivers water straight to the roots instead of flooding the field, can dramatically reduce the amount used where farmers can afford to install it. And a large share of the world's cotton is not irrigated at all. In places like parts of India, Africa, and the American plains, it is grown on rainfall, which changes the water mass entirely. Cotton grown in the right place with rain and modern irrigation is a very different product from cotton grown by draining a river in a desert. That is really the point of the whole story. The problem was never the cotton plant itself. Cotton is an ordinary crop that happens to like heat. The catastrophe at the Aral Sea was a decision made by people to grow enormous quantities of a thirsty crop in a place that had no water to spare, and to keep going long after the consequences were obvious. The same crop grown on rainfall in a wet climate causes nothing like that harm. What the empty seabed really records is not the greed of a plant, but what happens when the true cost of water is left out of the accounting entirely. So the next time you pick up a cheap cotton shirt, it's worth remembering that its price tag reflects almost none of this. It covers the seed, the labor, the shipping, and the shop. It does not include the aquifer that dropped, the river that stopped reaching the sea, or the dust now blowing off a lakebed that used to be full of fish. That part of the bill was paid and is still being paid by people who will never wear the shirt. Follow along for more of the hidden costs stitched into the everyday things we buy.